For the sake of the next part of this training segment, let's assume you've successfully found and engaged an amazing recruiting partner. Obviously, that's a great start, but it's just that, a great start. Similar to how it works with golf clubs or any other kind of new sporting equipment, like the new tailor-made driver, the thing is not going to automatically hit the ball down the middle of the fairway every time without your help. You are the catalyst that can make or break this thing. So let's talk about you. There are 7 things that you should be giving your recruiting team to ensure that they are set up to succeed. And remember that if you have the proper motive alignment, you'll both win together. The first thing is ammunition. We talked about this in our previous video on how to launch a successful search. So go back to that if you need specifics. But you need to give them every possible shred of ammunition available so that they can knock the cover off the ball, especially when it comes to selling the passive candidate. Here are a few examples. Source companies. Where are your company's best people coming from? Ask around, make a list. Collaborate on this list with your recruiter. They will turn a list of 10 targets into 20 or 30 and strategically recruit the most relevant and targeted candidates. Exhaustive compensation details. Why narratives? And lastly, candidate-centric job description, territory, region, performance metrics, and as many other details as you can dig up. A good recruiter can do amazing things for you, but you've got to equip them with the right information. At the end of this video, download our supply checklist to make 100% sure you're giving your recruiter everything they need to be successful. Next, the best hiring managers in our industry are masters of communication. They've realized, because they've asked the question, that open, honest, and clear communication is what their recruiters crave more than anything else you could give them. This may come as a surprise to you, but most recruiters would prefer open, timely, and direct communication with you over a higher fee. That's right, it's true. Communicate with your partners and you will see huge dividends. Here are a few suggestions that can help you in this area. Call, text, or email them immediately after the interviews to debrief. Keep them informed with internal candidates and other developments that occur throughout the search process. Communicate early and often if you see a position coming down the pike. Good recruiters are very, very busy, and they will need to allocate the appropriate resources to make you a priority. Don't cancel interviews on short notice without a good reason. This is for emergencies only. If I could sum it up by simply telling you to treat them like a customer, all the same rules would apply. The next most important thing is commitment. The best recruiters are looking for a long-term relationship, not a simple transaction. If you sense that your interaction with your recruiter is more of a transaction than a relationship, work with him or her to clearly establish commitment levels so that both parties have a greater ROI on their time and energy. Trust me when I tell you that this works. Here are some examples to help you understand how the best hiring managers have mastered this. These managers realize that one committed recruiting partner who has you as their top priority is better than 5 uncommitted partners who are all looking for low-hanging fruit. And I know what you're thinking. Isn't competition good? And in most cases it is. However, not here. It actually demotivates your recruiter and makes them feel less accountable to delivering what you guys agreed on. Can you imagine sending your direct rep into a major IDN to win a huge deal that took 6 months to win, then sending an independent rep to the same account behind them at the same time? You'd never think of it. Good recruiters will mirror your commitment level. And secondly, think about this. When a stud candidate gets contacted by 2 or 3 different recruiters for the same job, and these recruiters are flinging information at them as fast as they can because they know they're in a rat race to get their resume and your ATS, do you think that impresses the candidate? No. It smells a little bit disorganized and maybe even desperate. The next thing is trust. Trust only works when you have the right recruiter engaged. So make sure you follow the above steps before moving on to this point. When you have the right partner in place, here are a few ways to demonstrate your trust in them. Your recruiting partner says to you, I know this last candidate's bio doesn't fit the exact profile we're looking for, but I wanted you to see this candidate anyway. Trust me. Do it. Trust them. 99 times out of 100, if you've chosen the right recruiter, you won't regret this time invested. Or how about this scenario? You've assigned a search to your recruiter and an internal candidate pops up from another region. You're not sure if you should mention it because naturally you want to compare a few outside candidates with your internal. I'm going to help you out here. You need to tell your recruiting partner immediately. They realize this kind of thing happens and should not get offended. However, if you do not tell them and you surprise them later after they work on this position for a few more weeks, it's not going to be good. People don't like to work with people they can't trust. Your recruiter will respect you more for your transparency and will look forward to a long-term relationship with you. Coachability. Recruiters spend a lot of time analyzing the job market and even more time working with job seekers. Unless that happens to be a hobby of yours, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that your recruiter may have some insights that you don't. So be open to learning from them. Here are some ways to demonstrate that you're coachable. Invite them to share their input and where appropriate advice with you. You are still making the calls, but now you have some new data you didn't have before, which will probably serve you well. Ask them what candidates are saying about them and their interview style. This level of collaboration will probably surprise your recruiting partner and make them even more loyal to you. If you're not doing this already, be prepared for a very cool response from your recruiting partner. Now let's move on to setting clear expectations. Everyone, and I don't care who you are or what you do, works best when there are clear expectations communicated up front. You and your recruiting partner are no different. We talked about creating an action plan in one of our earlier modules. Share this with your recruiter and specify which deadlines they are accountable for and which ones you are accountable for. If you've got a national sales meeting coming up and want that new hire there, make sure to share that with your recruiter. Additionally, tell them exactly what you expect on every single candidate that they submit. You can download a simple template at the end of this segment that we created for our hiring managers that clearly spells out who is responsible for what and when. Next, motive alignment. We touched on this a bit earlier, but it's worth covering again in more detail. You will never, ever get the most out of your recruiting partner until they are convinced that you care just as much about their success as you do about your own, which is going to be a huge paradigm shift for many of you. Most hiring managers see their recruiting partner simply as a means to an end. And if you subscribe to that mentality and it's working for you, then keep doing what you're doing. However, if you want to have recruiting partners who will jump in front of a bus for you, then work to understand what's important to them, and you'll have a recruiting partner for life. Ask your recruiting partner what motivates them. Ask that same recruiting partner what they see other great hiring managers inside the organization and out doing to land great candidates. In a true spirit of improvement, ask them for feedback on what candidates are saying about you after each interview. And be ready to hear things you may not like if you truly want to improve. When they do a great job, write them a recommendation on LinkedIn. These kinds of behaviors foster collaboration, which inevitably leads to better outcomes. And in this case, a partnership that will last for years to come. So there you have it. Given the fact that you're investing into your own professional development in this particular area, says a lot about where your head is. You know that nailing each aspect of the hiring process is one of the smartest and easiest things that you'll do, and it can produce exponential results for you and your organization. Take our advice. The information we shared today took 15 years to organize and develop. And let me tell you, we've got some pretty incredible before and after stories. This wraps up our video for today. Stay tuned for our next training video covering all things on interviewing. You won't want to miss it. Also be sure to check out the free resources that I mentioned throughout the video. We've got some phenomenal tools for you and your recruiting team that can be downloaded and implemented on your next search. See you soon.